Hey everybody, and welcome back to another season of Frights of the Roundtable. This time I have a new co-host who's just starting, and she's enjoying it so far already, just chatting with me about everything. And I am, oh my goodness, I'm probably gonna butcher your name already because I didn't ask you. Like I think I've done it before, but
No, it's Molly Souza.
okay, so that's exactly what I was
Souza.
going to say. All right. So Jonathan Moody here with Molly Souza. So there you go. And she's going to introduce our first guest.
We are so lucky to be joined by Miss Bailey Herrington and Mr. Jakey Lutsko.
What up?
Here all the way virtually from Tennessee. You guys are the only tens I see, and I stand by that.
We're tens up here.
Nice.
And Miss Bailey here is a up and coming horror icon, our final girl, our scream queen.
Are you two ladies doing the Faces of Horror thing or no? There's that like
no.
contest.
No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't doing that.
Yeah, it's like some kind of like internet thing. I'm getting so many people like sending me messages saying, "Can you vote for me?" And I'm like, I'm not gonna vote because like I feel bad, like I can't, but I hope whoever wins, like whoever, I hope it's somebody I know, wins, but no. So Molly, you're not doing it either?
No, I grew up, or I was like into modeling in the age of the like Maxim cover girl. Do you remember that where that was like a huge thing where everyone wanted to participate in this? And I just found I have a distaste for popularity contests like that. It's not, I think that's maybe the like nerdy high schooler in me who would have like never won homecoming queen, that I'm like, if you can pay for it or it's just like popularity based, I'm like,
yeah,
not my thing. Well, I can't get my cats to vote for me, and not a lot of other people know about me. So,
and it's still kind of wrong that it's only made for women, because then Jakey can't,
it's not. I've seen some man candy on Faces of Horror.
On this one,
I'm
gonna
look into this then. I'll look into this. Maybe we can be together and be the face. And we come as a combo.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So Molly, do you want to start off and kind of kick off everything?
Yeah. I mean, I would. Bailey is our actress scream queen here, which is, she's already the face of horror because she's the star of Late Checkout, which is a new crowdfunded horror movie I actually co-wrote with Josh Graves. We just filmed it this last year out in the mountains of North Carolina, South Carolina. Yeah. And so she's already the face of horror. You nailed it, Bailey. You have everyone here's vote, and we've confirmed you're the face of horror.
Exactly.
And then Jakey Lutsko here, who's really just in everything. Like, I don't think I could name something that Jakey doesn't do, but to name a few, we have writer director, right, with Cycles, which is incredible, and has been getting it was like the Chattanooga Film Festival.
Yeah, so it's it got into the Chattanooga Film Festival, which was super freaking exciting, just because that's something like I've grown up going to, like with my brothers, and like being able to officially be welcomed into that family was just like so freaking cool. And it's kind of been, it's been entering around in some other like festivals around like the East Coast and stuff. So
I was looking you up on Letterboxd today, and I saw that. So the first line to describe this movie, Cycles, is a fungal infection of the mind and soul.
Yes. I have to give a shout out to my friend Riley Smith, because he came up with that tagline. Because like I was actually entering it in on Film Freeway, and I was like, oh shoot, like they need a tagline. I was like, dude, you got any ideas? And he was like, fungal infection of the mind and soul. And I was like, boom, and just entered it away.
Oh yeah. Nice. most of the people I know worth their salt have had a couple of, fungal infections of the mind and soul.
Oh, nice.
Themselves. So I feel like it's a really interesting title. And Jakey worked with us, Bailey and I, on Late Checkout as well as again at like the official Everything Man.
Yeah. So yeah,
producer.
what did you do? I saw like you were like a camera assistant and stuff like that. Like
so I was first AC and kind of bounced around and helped with some other things, but yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's always nice to have somebody who can do like more than one task there and then just be like, oh, can you go do this? Oh yeah, can you go do this? Because like a lot of times when you're on set, you don't, like it's all the director or all like a producer or something. So when somebody else on crew can do multiple stuff, it's always well needed.
Yeah. And absolutely. Jakey, he runs around with like multiple crews is the thing I'm seeing now is like, he really is the everything man. So there's like a lot of different people that so like you worked with us on Late Checkout.
Yeah.
What else have you been working on lately?
Yeah. So right now I've been developing a couple of spec commercials that I'm going to be filming with a good buddy of mine named Justin Cipriani. And we're going to try to reach out to some people about trying to get into that kind of commercial industry. But I've been working on that, been working on a couple of feature scripts that are definitely far from being done, but I've kind of been putting that together. And then I'm also putting together my first EP. So I've been staying super busy with that. I've got an upcoming movie that I'm going to be on with Jaron Lewis and a couple other people, which is Watchdog and then The House Among the Trees. And I am super freaking pumped for both of those. So.
And then Miss Bailey has been Miss Bailey is always jet setting though, because that's like you're an actor wanderlust. I mean, you're in Tennessee now, Texas before that, and then Arizona, right?
Yeah, to go in October in Arizona to film the movie Wonder Woman. So I'll be there. So this month is just rehearsing and getting everything ready.
And it's a departure from horror, but I've seen some stills of it and it just looks it has that kind of Guillermo del Toro super intense like color and where the scene in the
it's a story and it's a dark fantasy, so it's a lot different than horror. So I'm so excited to do it because like I can't wait for everybody to see the like how I can act as well, besides just being like a final girl or being like someone who's always afraid. Like this is a really strong, powerful character, and I'm super excited for everybody to see it.
That's interesting because like, the final girl thing, like it's almost as if that's all what girls want to be, like they want to be the scream queen or the final girl or whatever, but they don't want to be the victim. They don't want to be the killer, which I always find weird because
I would want to be the killer.
You'd want to be the killer?
Yeah, I would want to be the bad person because that's not how I am in real life. I want to be
being bad is so much more fun than being like being the final girl is fun like once, but then it's like, no, I want to be a total bitch and then have someone cut my head off. Like that sounds sounds awesome.
Well, in the beginning of horror, like of slasher stuff or whatever, like the 80s when like it was really like the height of it, we had like Jamie Lee Curtis always surviving and becoming that final girl, and that's awesome. But like, yeah, you're right. Like after a while, it gets kind of boring a little bit because you want to see like, it would have been great if Jamie Lee Curtis ended up replacing with Michael, and it was Laurie going around killing everybody, right? Like that would have been interesting, but then, because whatever, but just something different, but they never gave us that, I mean, except at the end of part 4, they were kind of hinting that that Danielle Harris was possibly gonna be bad or something. She had like the knife in her hand and it looked like she was possessed.
Oh yeah, where she was like kind of connecting with Michael and like doing bad things with him.
Yeah. but they never did anything with that. They made her mute in the fifth one. That was just I don't know. Anyway, that's those are my opinions on that.
That's a really good script cop out. Just to like, oh, you're just like
make her mute.
I don't know what to tell you. She's mute now.
Yeah,
she can't talk anymore.
Yeah, because like it's all of a sudden it's like, oh, she can't talk, and that's what was the big thing at the end, and I'm like, no, like I wanted her to be a killer, man. Like I thought that would be so cool, but
I feel like we're seeing that more and more, that twist of seeing the horror of humanity, of like what could some psycho do to you, but then having to confront like, well, what would you do,
right?
If someone were chasing you and it's you or them, how far would that go? Right. Bailey, what is your, like, if in horror, I know you have like a lot of horror icons that you like, you have the tattoos to prove it. Like, what is your dream project in horror? Like, what would your, like, a dream role for you be?
Like, that's so hard to say, because I would have told you my dream role was to be like basically like a final girl type character, which pretty much like I got a kind of a chance to be that kind of character in Late Checkout along with like the other girls as well. And so I could just say that, like, I already got my dream. Like, that's all I asked for was the role I already have gotten. So I think next I don't know, maybe I would want to be like the bad guy. Maybe I want to be the one that everybody hates in the end, or is like the one that makes everybody mad in the movie, because I haven't really given that yet. And I think that would be fun, and just experiencing that kind of like personality and that way of being like such a horrible person when I'm just not, like, I'm not really that way. I feel like that would be different and unique. I feel like that would be like a really cool project to do.
Well, okay, I'm gonna ask both of you guys this question though, and you, Molly, I want you to answer as well. But like, if you could have any horror villain, Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Leatherface, whatever, chasing you, who would you want like coming after you, and why? And I'll give you guys my answer later, but I guess whoever wants to start.
I would choose Leatherface.
Really?
Because he's quiet when he's chasing you. You can hear him making his runs, his pants, and waving that thing around. You always know where he's going to be, so you can just use that to your advantage to hide.
Frankly, he's like inbred and disabled, is he not? Like,
yeah, like, so it's like you gotta hide. Like, it's a little bit easier. He's not very like a stalker like Michael, who can just show up, he'd turn around, he's there. Leatherface will not ever just be standing there. You'd have to hear him come into the room. Like,
yeah, that's what pissed me off at the newest Netflix one, because like when I saw it, I was like, how can these people not just like go? Like leave, and they have so many chances, and then they're just like sitting there, and I'm just like, okay, you're just letting this guy come closer and closer to you, and it's because it's in the script. They can't leave, like otherwise the movie would be over, and so it's ridiculous. I really
don't want to be killed with a chainsaw. Like, I'd rather have it be killed with a knife, I guess. But Leatherface would be the person I guess I'd want chasing me, because I feel like
because you wouldn't be able to. You'd be able to survive.
Right. I was like, I feel like I'd have a high chance with Leatherface.
It'd be so scary, though.
I know. I'd be like, oh my.
Now, if I'm correct, real quick though, aren't you, like, I saw something about the Sawyer Massacre? Is that still happening?
Yeah. So the Sawyer Massacre just had its premiere not too long ago. I wasn't there, but I saw they had like a great time, and then it should be being released on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, because it's a fan film. And yeah, so technically I was Leatherface. I didn't even think about that. So.
But were you actually like killed by him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was.
There you go. You were actually killed, but so you were actually attacked by the person you thought you could escape from.
In reality, I would, not in real life.
Exactly. Jakey, what about you?
Honestly, I think the Predator, just because like I think like it chased me for a little bit, and then it would like assess, oh, it's not a danger at all. Like it's it's weak. It's not very fast. It can't defend itself. I'm just gonna leave it alone, and I think I'd get a free pass. And like I feel like in most Predator movies, like whenever people get that chance, they end up wasting it and they try to keip fighting it. I just like lay there. I just like lay there and look up and just think about my life.
Would just examine you with the sonar thingy or whatever, and just like look you up and down and go, all right, never mind.
Yeah,
and
it's
just
like
move on.
Yeah.
I feel like the Prey, which was my favorite Predator movie, by the way.
Awesome.
I think it's like out of all of them, that was my favorite. And Predator was like hot and also chill. I'll say it. I'll say it. I was like that Predator's, you're right. He seemed reasonable.
Yeah.
Against colonialism.
Yeah.
And he was kind of fine.
Yeah, it's like let him come after me, like he was pretty swole. That was a pretty well.
And he's always in his little like. Why did they choose to put him in like a fishnet stocking? You know what I mean? Like he's kind of like he's a little kinky. I don't know. I feel like if once he determined you're not a threat, you'd be like chilling with Predator out in the woods.
Yeah,
you just have to learn his language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the clicking noise or whatever that he makes.
Yeah,
and then once you master that, you're done.
I think it's just like when you're trying to get a cat to come over to you and you do that like
you're like
little yeah.
Come here, Predator.
Come here, Predator. I can see that. And then I don't know if that's the call I'd want to make to him.
Right.
I don't know if you want to call him Predator to his face either. Like, do you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, to us that means something bad, but like I'm working on a skit right now, and I guess I can tell it, but I don't know if it'll ever get filmed or not because we got to buy an actual Predator thing. But I wanted to do To Catch a Predator, like that show.
Yeah.
And like the guy comes, Predator comes into the kitchen, and
you have a seat.
What?
You got Chris Hansen and To Catch a Predator.
Yes, exactly.
Why don't you have a seat over there?
Exactly. And the Predator's just talking to him, or whatever, like in his language. And I just think it would be really funny. As far as I know, nobody's ever done it. So, but I want to do that skit for like TikTok or something,
Yeah. You should do it.
So anyway, Molly, what about you?
I feel like I could beat Billy Loomis's ass. Like if I knew it was Billy Loomis, I
feel like you could too.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, you're going into the ground tonight, sir. I don't know. I just like Billy or Stu. Honestly, I feel like
both of them pretty easily.
Everyone just immediately ran. You know what I mean? Like you just have to it's just a teenage boy. You just gotta like crack him on the head with something, and it's just a dude in a suit. He doesn't have like the superhuman inbreeding strength or whatever that Leatherface has. Or like Michael, you can just stab Michael and he's like,
okay,
he's cool with he's like, and so
that's a good one.
It got worse with the fourth one because I was thinking she's so tiny. Like you could just throw her like around. Emma Roberts' character and what is it? And the other one was freaking Culkin. Rory Culkin. Like those two are like the smallest people to me. Yeah. Like I could definitely see like that somebody just taking them very easily or any like there really hasn't been a scary ghost face yet.
They're all like regular.
No.
Yeah, which I think is the point, I guess, that it could be almost anyone that you have to face.
It could be anyone, but like in the it has to be the perfect neighborhood. Like the last one, they tried to set it was like a town adjacent to my hometown. It was like Modesto, California was like their base, and then they went to some town. Anyway, and like you would just get shot. Just immediately, you would be shot. You would come into the house wearing the mask, and somebody would be like, "Oh my god," and shoot you, and then the movie would be over. Like, again,
because they're human.
They just immediately run. Like they're not like
That would be such a good cold open for a Scream movie. Like it's opening up. You're thinking that like Ghostface is gonna get the victim, and then they just get blown away. And they're like, oh, another copycat killer failed, and then it like goes into the actual plot.
Yeah,
Bad movie.
that's
Yeah.
actually well. You should be writing the next one. Jesus.
Yeah, see?
I'd love to.
It's a better direction than exactly. And he
Sure.
would pay Sydney Prescott what she deserves.
Absolutely.
Yes, you would. I would go with Chucky. You know,
Oh my gosh,
honestly.
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good
Because I mean, I've always said it. I mean, he's just a teeny tiny doll you could just kick, you know, like, every time I see him, it's usually somebody's like grabbing him, holding him close to their like face. And I'm like, of course he's going to slash them like that,
Yeah.
you know, like you literally, you know, and he's not fast. He's not like a fast little guy. So it's not like I could just run him over. I mean, he is not a person who feels like
They
a
would always
threat
be
to
holding
me.
him like right here, and they'd be like, ah, and I'm like, how much force does he have? Like holding himself here, like you're
Yeah.
literally lifting him up.
I mean, the only way he can get people is technically when they're not realizing he's a doll, you know, like, you know, or like he's alive, you know what I mean? So like when they look at him, it's like, oh, he's a sweet dog. That's when he kills people. But like when he's just like chasing after you, I'm like, really? You just, you know, there's the scene in the original Child's Play where she was about to throw him in the fire
Right.
and then he got all mad, you know? I'm
Yeah.
like, don't tell him you're gonna throw him in the fire, you know, just do it. You know, like we always you know, characters always give away their plots and then, you know, get killed over it, you know, so or whatever, get attacked. So I don't know. I just always thought Chucky would be like the easiest person to probably, but I do like all your guys' answers. And I do want to see that Leatherface movie where everybody just gets away. Like everybody in the whole movie, there's no murder because he's just being too loud and everything.
Too
And,
loud.
yeah, and he's like, "Damn it,
I know.
maybe I need to learn how to."
Reevaluates his purpose in life, and he's like, "What have I been doing?" Like,
Have I been too loud?
yeah,
He has to go to Home Depot and buy like an electric chainsaw or something.
like upgrade to modern times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But-
that I don't know. I like that. I like that idea. And you know, all these are great. So that was fantastic. Molly, you had some more some fun
Yeah.
questions.
Well, Bailey, would you? I guess both of you can definitely answer this. Would you rather, if I was like, "Hey, I'm moving and I need to hold some stuff at your house," would you rather hold the Chucky doll or Annabelle from all of the
Chucky.
Chucky?
Yeah.
Okay.
What is it about Annabelle that like? I mean, Annabelle's generally doesn't.
I think because it comes off as a more demonic and like hell-like creature, like doll, and Chucky's just like an angry man who like he's just like an angry man. Like that's not as scary as like a demon like in the house pretending to be a child running. Like that seems weird. Like
Yeah. I would agree. So when we were shooting my movie The Invited, we were all my friends were upstairs watching The Conjuring, you know, and I was in my room going to sleep because I can't be up to like whatever. I have to get some sleep. So I wake up the next day and there's a note that was pressed underneath my thing, you know, saying whatever the lines that she
like want to play or something.
yeah, or whatever. Yeah. You know, and I was like, oh, my friends love me, you know, like I don't like it doesn't scare me anymore. Like nothing horror scares me anymore, really.
Yeah.
You know. Do you guys feel the same way now that you guys do horror films?
Yeah, like realistically, I'm not like afraid. I think I'm more afraid of the realistic situations. I feel like more like movies that are along lines of like sexual harassment and torture, like that's scary to me because I feel like that's more realistic for me. But like usually like demon movies or like slasher, like I guess that's scary, but usually not as scary as like you know those other ones. But so now I'm not too scared by things like too bad.
Slasher movies are always kind of, there's some element of like all of the things that we have at our disposal in the modern day we don't
Right.
have, you know, because really it's like, oh, you broke into LOL, I just tweeted the cops. They're
Yeah.
on their way. I
Yeah.
have a drone, I have a Ring camera that just saw your exact face and I tweeted a picture of it. Like you're going to fucking jail. It wouldn't be as much of an issue, but
See, once again, those are great endings for movies.
Right.
You know, like, oh geez, like it all happens where you think it's gonna end where the person's gonna die or something, and then they're like, guess what? You're fucked. You know, I just tweeted your picture. You're going to jail. You can kill me, but it's not going to matter because I'm just going to be another person that you're going to have to pay for, you know, and fuck. Okay, I'm out. You know, like I'm done murdering people, you know, like that kind of thing. I don't know.
what?
So, oh, go ahead, Molly.
No, what like horror movie trope do you think we're gonna like leave behind or like annoys you the most? You know, like the characters oftentimes like fit into these tropes. I feel like there's a lot of stuff that we've been seeing. So like, for example, I feel like every time I watch a movie now, I feel like there's not a lot of good boyfriends. There's not a lot of examples of like, this is what a good relationship between two people looks like. It's a lot of crazy betrayals and manipulations, and
That's
I
true.
kind of hope that at some point there's like maybe a movie that shows us an example of what two people like actually working together could do.
Yeah.
It's called Lifetime,
Well,
the Lifetime
yeah,
channel.
but I feel like oftentimes that's like usually the twist is like, oh, it was like this person who you were told that you could trust the whole time, and then they turned out to be a really terrible person. You're like,
Right.
oh.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. What do you think, guys?
That's a good question.
I feel like anything that is like, I don't know, like anything within the horror genre that makes me feel like this is distasteful. Like I feel like anything to do with like sexual assault and stuff like that. Like I really want to see horror like as a culture move away from using that as like a crutch to attempt to be scary, because I just don't, I think that one like just hits too close to home and just cannot, it just always comes off as like distasteful to me. And I really hope that's something that like as our culture progresses more, I really kind of hope that horror as a genre kind of leaves that trope behind.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As someone who reads a lot of horror scripts, I often find myself when I'm deciding if I want to do a project, I ask myself like, why did you choose to write this? Why, you know, what identity do you find yourself in? What identities are you writing about? And like when you're having them go through these, you know, traumas and terrible things that are happening in this horror movie, like for what purpose are you doing this? Is it just to poke at other people's scars because you know that they're there? Or are you trying to tell a story? Like what purpose are you using these different like plot lines? And yeah, I totally agree, Jakey. That's a great one. Also, it's interesting because a lot of like old horror movies, like the scream rules always apply. You know, like if you have sex, you're gonna die. If you're gay, you're gonna die. If you're a person of color, you're gonna die. Like all of these like hard and fast rules that you see in horror a lot. And I'm like, I feel like we've kind of even now started to come out of that. Where our final girls look different. You know, they're not all the like perfect Lori types. They're like bad girls and gay girls and
they all have their issues. They're not like always at school studying, like how all the like
the neighborhood babysitter that's like
The sweetest thing.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
do
like,
people have babysitters anymore still? Like, I mean, it feels like in our society we use the television these days as like the babysitter or whatever, or we have nanny cams like everywhere, so people are just not afraid to leave their 12-year-old child, alone anymore. They're like, oh, they'll be fine, even though that's the perfect time for a killer to come in and like, or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know, it's just weird now because like
that would be something I would be eager to see, is if you heard about people hacking into Ring cameras that people have in their house, or like cameras people have in their house, and they'll like talk to other people's kids and stuff and do really nefarious things by like hacking into someone's system. That'd be a scary movie.
I forgot what show did that. I think probably SVU or something. But I feel like they've tackled that at times because like people have told people go murder somebody or go do this and stuff, and they're like, oh my God, it's God talking to me, it's some dude in the Ring camera, or whatever. So people are, it doesn't help when people are sort of, we have a mental health issue in our world right now. So I don't know. I like, yeah, it would be crazy to see like a movie that sort of took our society really seriously. I think Jordan Peele is probably the only one who tries to do that now, is like really, take the time and do that. I was not a big fan of the new Candyman, and only because I'm just not into art stuff, so like the art, it was like half art, to me. So I don't know. What you guys think of the new Candyman?
I haven't even seen it.
Oh,
I actually really liked it a lot. I thought just like the body horror elements were so sick in it. Just like how he starts to turn almost like a hive.
I was literally going to say the grossest part of it to me was his scab. Like it was just the scab element.
Yeah.
I saw the photos on Instagram and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, it made my like skin just
all.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I was like, oof, all those little whole things.
So gross. Like my
interesting.
I was like, no, but I still want to see it. I just haven't yet.
Okay, yeah. So that brings up a good question about all of you guys. Like, since you guys are now all into horror stuff, do you guys like watching horror films a lot still, or do you guys kind of like feel different now that you guys watch it?
No, I still like watching them.
I think it's made me appreciate them even more, just because like I know. I know what low budget indie horror is like. Like it can be rough at times, but it's like it's a blast. It's unlike anything else.
Half the time I'm just like, I wonder how much they had to pay that guy to get him to do that. It's like, damn, like I'm probably intolerable to watch movies with, because I'm like, I wonder how they did that effect. Like, I wonder what the production was like.
You and me would probably be the same, and we'd be bothering each other on that questions, because I'd just be like the whole time, just like, because I always wonder that, and then I'm always like, why did they do that? Like, and it's more like the script. Like I'd be like, just like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one. I was like, why aren't they leaving? I mean, you can still have a story with them leaving, but they have to make. Somebody wrote a good review of the movie You're Next. Have you guys seen that? And they had actually said that finally a girl who makes all the right decisions, like, and it still was a great movie. Have you guys, have you seen that?
That's one of my favorite movies ever. I remember I saw that movie in theaters, and it changed, like, that was really fundamental in transforming the way that I saw horror movies, and particularly women's roles in horror movies, that it doesn't always have to be an exploitation film where someone is like being like assaulted and chased with their boobs out, and it's just like women exist for the sole purpose of hurting them and seeing them suffer. But to flip that on its head and have the woman be the driving force of power in a film was like, It blew me away. It blew me away. And I love that. I love like seeing like when you don't have to watch a horror movie and think like, God, like, why are you going upstairs?
Right.
Well, what Scream did that. Scream mentioned that, like, well, you're going to all, horror movies are dumb because chicks always going up the stairs instead of going out the front door, right? And then she does it. That's the point.
And she ends up. She was like, okay, let me just go upstairs.
Right. Which I mean, makes sense. They made it make sense. Right? But most of the time, it doesn't make sense. It's like, oh my God, I'm going to go run up these stairs when I could run out the front door. But if you can't run out the front door,
the window.
So anyway, what do you guys think about that? Did you guys see You're Next?
I think I saw it a long time ago, but I can't quite remember it. And I haven't caught myself up again.
I watched it years ago, but I was like so sleepy while watching it. So I was like dozing in and out. It really does deserve a rewatch. I need to check it out again, but I totally was kind of like,
I think
to stay awake.
I think
not because it was bad, but just because tired, Jakey.
I think Elsie Holt shoots Ty West in the head in that movie.
Holy shit. That's awesome. That is so sick.
Which is it's such a strange movie because it has like so many directors and stuff in it, as actors,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and I looked at it, I was looking because I was doing a review of it and I was looking at all the cast and I was like, holy shit, that's a director, Ty West, obviously. And that's just like Adam Wingard who directed it, being like, hey, you want to come be in my movie? Yeah, sure. And like, what I mean? Putting them in, they're great actors too, so like it all worked out. So Molly, you had some more questions, right? Some more
do you guys want to finish up with the bracket?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we want to check out the little bricky brack situation? Okay.
Oh, also we watched VHS 2 last night. It was my first time watching.
Ooh,
so good.
Yeah, speaking of Elsie Holt and Adam
Yeah,
Wingard,
I was like, oh, Elsie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam and LC and all those guys used to always do like all that stuff together, all the VHS movies, which I'm not a big fan of found footage, so I it's not my kind of thing. But I met LC once, and he was really sweet. So and I guess you guys worked with him, so for late checkout. So that's awesome.
And then Jakey's working on his film Watchdog, which looks super, super incredible. Mark Patton is in that. Mark Patton is just the most lovely person in the world, so that's super exciting.
I've met him too in person, and he is the sweetest man in the world. Like he just I wish I got to like do an interview there at the convention, but he had a line. I don't want to bother him.
I'd like to meet him at some point. He seems so sweet.
Oh yeah. He's a profound activist as well. Like he always is kind of mobilizing his social power to empower other people, which I think is a really admirable thing to do.
I just watched his documentary before I drove here, actually, and it was super good.
Oh yeah,
the Scream Queen one.
Yeah, I did.
Looks great. I haven't seen it yet, but I've been wanting to check it out. Is it on Tubi or?
I think we had it on DVD that my family ordered it. But we watched it and it gave me so much more insight of all these things like I didn't really realize, and like it was just super like crazy to know all these different things about him. So I was like, oh my gosh, so like he even seems even sweeter now. Like I don't know, just he seems really great. So I would like to meet him at some point. Gotta drop in on set. Hey Mark.
All right. Well, you want to tell us, explain the bracket, Molly?
Yes. So I've compiled a list of some of the most popular horror movies that have in at least American culture, right?
Okay.
So these are everywhere from like the 1970s up until this decade. So the old school slashers to more artsy films that we get today. So I'm just going to go over the list of all of them to explain what heavy hitters we have to work with here. The Shining, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining.
Your favorite movie, Molly?
My favorite. Scream, which is one of Bailey's favorites, I believe. Candyman, the original 1992 version. Friday the 13th, the first. Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, 1984. Halloween, classic, 1978. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then getting into our newer ones, we have Midsummer and Hereditary. It Follows and Get Out for our kind of mindfuck movies. Blair Witch and Paranormal Activity representing found footage. And 28 Days Later and The Descent representing our creature features. The Descent that will always be like one of my top. People say they have comfort movies. Like The Descent is my discomfort movie. Like I have to watch that movie standing up and just like pacing like around the living room. It's like,
it's intense.
It's been a while since I've seen that, but I loved it.
So we're just gonna start at the top and pick our winners this way. So between The Shining and Poltergeist, Jakey, I'm so sorry. Jakey hasn't seen The Shining.
Yes.
So everyone just automatically Poltergeist for me because I've seen Poltergeist.
I would say The Shining.
All right. I'm gonna go with Shining as well.
Okay. Well, that's tough because I'm a steadfast Poltergeist. Like
Poltergeist.
First time. Wow.
Okay.
The first one off the box. We're now in that thing where we're gonna have to fight it out. We're
gonna have to argue it out. I would just much rather like Poltergeist. You watch and at least they had fun. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they just torture Shelley Duvall through like the entirety of filming The Shining?
Actually, yeah.
I feel like no one had fun making that movie.
So my reasoning for the movie is that it looks fucking beautiful for The Shining. Like every shot is amazing. Stanley Kubrick is a master director. As much as I like Tobe Hooper, I don't like him nearly as much as Stanley Kubrick. I think he's a much better director. And on top of that, like there's more of a story than just a family who is being haunted. We get that enough with like Insidious later and other movies, even though Poltergeist is the first. I felt like it was, looking back at it, it's just kind of like, And it stars Craig T. Nelson of Coach. Come on. Like, he's not the best actor in the world to me, You
have a problem with Craig T. Nelson? Okay,
I just think he was Coach. That's all I remember him from. And, like, he wasn't I don't know. He wasn't great in that, in my opinion. But anyway, who else wants to argue something?
I like The Shining just because I have seen Poltergeist maybe once, and I like The Shining because I like Jack Nicholson. So
okay,
I will rebuttal.
I will concede that The Shining is more iconic for the genre of horror. That more people have seen The Shining and would respect The Shining as a piece of cinema. So I'll concede. Jakey, I'm sorry, that's 3-1 then.
Poltergeist has got the clown though. That's all I'll say. That thing is terrifying.
Was it the clown in the first one? I don't remember. It's been so long.
It was the little boy under the bed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That. All right.
Okay. Scream or Candyman? Two 90s classics.
I love
both.
But Scream's just like my favorite movie. Like it's been my favorite movie since forever. So Candyman's just super good, but Scream just had that's just a part of my personality. So that's why I just choose Scream.
I'd go with Scream as well. It's just so much fun. Like I feel like it's just great to watch it around like every Halloween. Like it's like a comfort Halloween movie.
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, she was supposed to be the Neve Campbell. She was supposed to be Sidney Prescott, and then she asked to take a smaller role. So they gave her that one. Was that?
It said she still got such a big thing because that was such a great opening scene too.
It's like
it was
the thing. Like she did so good.
I'm gonna go with Scream as well. I mean, I know it's like right now it's already won, but Scream is by far like it's the movie that got me back into horror. For like a couple of years I wasn't watching any horror stuff,
Yeah.
and then I watched Scream and I was like, oh my God, this is my kind of movie because it didn't scare me,
Right.
but it was kind of terrifying to think that anybody could be a killer, at any time. So any of my high school friends could be a killer,
Sure. Right.
maybe some of them are, I don't know.
Maybe.
So we're moving on to the 80s babies here, and this is
But
gonna
Molly,
be
what would you say though? Like, what would you, even if, what were you gonna say, Scream or Candyman?
oh Scream. Oh,
Oh, okay.
Scream for
Okay.
sure. Yeah, I love Candyman, but if it's up against Scream, I have to say Scream just because I would actively rewatch Scream
For sure.
over and over again. I love it. Yeah.
All right. So next.
For the 80s babies, Friday the 13th, the first one, or Nightmare on Elm Street, the first one, Bailey.
Nightmare. I was raising my hand while you were saying them. That was my voting hand. I'd say Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I love Friday the 13th. I love those movies because I love the atmosphere and like the campy vibe. But Nightmare on Elm Street, I feel like was more entertaining as opposed to the first Friday the 13th. Like I just was more entertained by and I remember being more scared of that one as a kid. So that's my vote. Nightmare on Elm Street. And Johnny Depp, hello.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd also say Nightmare on Elm Street just because like the concept is so freaking cool. Like an evil entity that comes into your dreams and makes you see like your worst nightmares. Like that is just such an awesome concept. And I think they really have fun with it in the film. It's great. I'd go with Nightmare.
So it was tough for me because Friday the 13th is my favorite franchise and all the horror stuff. Like Friday the 13th Part 8 is my second favorite horror film, or whatever. And so, which not a lot of people like that one, but I don't care because it was fun. Yeah, eight, right? Like people are like, wait, why do you like the one where Jason's on a cruise to go to Manhattan, and he's only in Manhattan for like 5 minutes? But I love it. It's funny. It was, entertaining. I don't know. That movie just drew me in. But Nightmare on Elm Street's a better like first movie. Friday the 13th was great. And Betsy Palmer was fantastic, but it's just Jason's mom being the killer didn't work for me, as much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like earlier we were talking about like who do you think you could actually defeat? And I'm like, Mrs. Voorhees.
Yeah, nobody said Mrs. Voorhees. There you go. Mrs. Voorhees would be
scissor kick that old lady in the head. Are you joking? Hell
I mean,
no.
I was always surprised that people could not just outrun her. She's old, like you just run, but apparently, but also when you see her hands, it's not her hands, it's like Tom Savini's hands doing it. So she's not really as scary, I guess, or whatever. But no, I'd say Nightmare on Elm Street. Nightmare on Elm Street's just the better movie. It was weirdly better done, and scarier. So
I would also have to say Nightmare on Elm Street. I agree that the Friday the 13th franchise has a bigger place in my heart, but the first Friday the 13th I think is the weakest one. So I would say Nightmare on Elm Street as well.
Yeah.
Another hard choice, but this time we're going even farther back in the way back machine to the 1970s.
When I don't think any of us was born in the 70s. I'm gonna miss that. No, I was 82, so yeah,
But I mean, there's still. I've seen both of these numerous times.
Oh yeah.
I feel like the 70s was a great. I mean, but I'd even dig on 60s movies. So I don't know.
And every Halloween plays on like AMC.
Everything. Yeah, and it's like another franchise. So Halloween, the original, or the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I was
What-
gonna go with Halloween actually. It's just
Okay.
it's one of those that again, it's just like around Halloween time. It's like I'm watching that movie. I feel like I'm in the full spirit of Halloween. Like it's just a
He's
blast.
in the full spirit.
Yeah, full spirit.
what about you, Bailey?
I was gonna say Texas Chainsaw Massacre because that movie's just super my favorite vibe ever. And I just think it's super intense. Like the whole movie is really intense. And I love Halloween. It's just a lot slower for me than Texas Chainsaw. And I just love Texas Chainsaw. It's just one of my favorite ones ever. So that's why I just choose that one anyways.
All right.
And Leatherface is like one of my favorites too.
Well, this may be another tie thing because I'm gonna have to go with Halloween. And that is because Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's funny that you say, Bailey, that that Halloween was slower to you, but it took me literally 3 or 4 times to watch all of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When I was younger. And as opposed to now, I could watch it like very easily and get into it. But I didn't really like it as much growing up, and I felt like Leatherface was kind of a boring killer. Like as you say, he just kind of spins around, and like there's I guess later they try to go into backstories and
Yeah, like he didn't have much of a personality. You're right. About that.
yeah, it's kind of boring. And even what is it? Michael Myers had more of a personality because you saw him growing up. You saw that he was a kid that's just fucking psycho. He apparently learned how to drive and he could like escape and everything. So I don't know. I like Halloween a lot better. And I've gone to all the like almost a bunch of the locations and stuff and seen all the houses and things like that. And to me, I actually saw somebody dress up as Michael at the Michael house. So that freaked me out a little bit, but I wanted the person to come downstairs and they wouldn't because they were probably working, at that place at the because it's a real estate office now, which is
The house?
yeah, it's a real estate
That's
office.
funny.
And it's like it got moved. It's not in the same neighborhood or anything. It got moved to like it's someplace in was it in LA, but it got moved and it is amazing. Like I went there, I was so excited, and we rang the doorbell and we saw somebody was upstairs, and all of a sudden the person came down came to the stairs in a Michael Myers mask. So it was kind of neat. I wanted the person to come down and say hey, and my friend was like, no, I don't want to see that. So what do you say, Molly? Is it a tiebreaker?
No, Halloween definitely. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is super horrifying in a different way, but it just has a lot of setup.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that was my
I didn't care for the hitchhiker, which I like the guy who plays him, or whatever. But I don't know, like all that stuff just kind of like the setup for it just kind of bored me a little bit too. I don't know.
So moving into kind of the newer stuff, Midsummer or Hereditary, 2 A24 movies.
I've only seen Hereditary. I never saw Midsummer.
Oh, Jakey?
I would say Hereditary. I think I remember when the trailer for that film came out and I kind of wrote it off. I was like, I got the vibe of like, oh, it kind of feels like it's another haunted house, kind of like paranormal film. I don't know why. I just got that. And then going into it, like watching it, I was like, okay, this is getting really good reviews. And then the scene where Charlie, I was like, oh my God. I was like, that felt like one of the biggest side swipes I've ever experienced in a horror film. Cause like
swipe, no pun intended.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And it was like I was just like, it just clicked in my head. I was like, oh my God, I have no idea what this movie's about to do to me. Like this just totally just changed the game.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I've never seen Hereditary, but I've seen Midsummer. So and I'm honestly, I didn't like Midsummer much. I thought it was okay, but I guess if I had to choose between the two right now, considering I haven't seen the other one, I'd have to say Midsummer. So
and you're outnumbered because
I'm outnumbered.
Mine
So
would definitely be Hereditary as well.
I figured it would, because that seemed to be like more people what people liked.
Yeah.
So I will have to watch it now and
Oh,
report
it's
back
so
to you.
good.
My
So
best friend's
good.
like, watch the screen, stop looking, watch it. Are you watching it? I'm watching it.
It Follows. Has everyone seen It Follows?
No.
Oh, It Follows is so good. Or Get Out.
I've seen Get Out.
Love Get Out.
Get Out is better.
Okay. Yeah. Jakey, are you Get Out as well?
Yeah, Get Out.
Okay.
I'll
Yeah.
take- You know.
Get Out was a phenomenal one. So
So It Follows had to get out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it did.
Blair Witch Project or Paranormal Activity?
So I actually never saw Blair Witch because I get really bad motion sickness watching first person things. So I never like. I'm sure I could try to watch it. I just keep thinking that I'm gonna get like sick if I'm watching it.
Yeah. Oh, and it
Probably
will.
some scenes that will make you feel nauseous if you don't like movies where they're just like running from.
Yeah, I know. It would make me like feel so like. bleh.
But you've seen Paranormal Activity though.
Yeah, I like those movies. I think I like the third one. I think that was like my favorite one, but I don't remember. I haven't seen them in so long, but I did like some of them.
Yeah, what about you, Jakey?
I'd have to go with Blair Witch Project. I feel like I
Jakey movie.
yeah. I love the entire just aura that surrounds that film and how they tricked audience members into believing that, oh my God, is this a real thing? Like I feel like you only get one chance to do that in horror, like every couple decades. And it's like, they totally like, it's so cool to me. It's like, man, I feel like I would be just so honored to be able to do that someday, to be able to trick people into believing something is so horrifying and realistic that it could be real.
Yeah, that's why I want to watch it. Like I want to see it. I just have to take some times, I guess.
I actually met the mayor of Burkittsville where they filmed the thing at a horror convention a couple weekends ago, and he's it's so funny because like he only became the mayor of Burkittsville because nobody else wanted to do it. He wanted to become the mayor, and so he's kind of. But he gets asked a lot about the locations, and you can't really go to a lot of them. You can go to some, but you can't film some of there. So I'm okay. So I'm torn because I've seen both. Honestly, if I had to choose to watch one of them, I would choose to watch Paranormal Activity again. However, Blair Witch is probably the better movie, period, because it started the whole thing. But I don't like movies where the people are running with the camera on. I'm like, drop the fucking camera. Like it doesn't make it, found footage makes no sense to me. I don't like it. It's, it's like the worst genre in my opinion. But so I would still have to choose Blair Witch because it is, as Jakey said, like it is a movie that sort of inspired other people and inspired paranormal activity. Like there would be no Paranormal Activity had there not been Blair Witch, because it's the exact same story, just with ghosts instead of witch or whatever. So I'd have to go with Blair Witch.
I think just for because they created the genre, and I love that people were so concerned about it.
Yeah.
That there was this level of like, this is real. This really happened to people, and we're really seeing this like terrible trauma that happened. And they kind of did that again with Paranormal Activity in the marketing. They were like, people are passing out and shitting their pants in the movie theater. Like, it is so scary. You're gonna die, literally. And people like really love that. Like they remember they'd have like the reaction photos of people in the movie theater being
like the
night. I love that.
Yes, I forgot about those.
I like that. I wanted to do that for late checkout. I wanted to have like reactions of people watching it because it's so there's so much practical gore in it that it's like actually pretty pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
But we'll see. So yeah, I think I'll also, so then the last one here, and then we just have to narrow down. And I think I know where Bailey and I stand on this. 28 Days Later, The Descent, y'all.
I've never seen 28 Days Later, so I apologize. But The Descent, like the first and the second one, is so good. I literally watched it the other day. I was like, I told my friend's mom, I was like, Jennifer, can we please watch The Descent? Like, I just really want to watch this movie. And we did. And it was good.
Had she seen it? Was she horrified?
I know she saw it, but my friend Austin was with us and he's never seen it. And he was like, oh, but like when she's stuck, like when she can't move and she starts freaking out, he's like, oh, I don't like this. I was like, oh, isn't it so scary?
There's so many levels to that, but that is one that I picture them having a lot of fun when the cameras were cut. And I try to like envision like, where did they actually film that? Because there's no way that you filmed in a cave.
Yeah,
you couldn't do it with like the sound and equipment. Like so I don't know. It's interesting to picture like what the making of that movie looked like. There's like people standing around in their like horrifying mutant outfits, like drinking coffee.
Oh yeah, the alien thing. It's like what she says. She's like, "How do you?" Oh wait, never mind. I don't remember the joke, and I don't think the joke was appropriate anyway.
I think I would have to go with 28 Days Later because the atmosphere in that film is
what is that? Is it?
Zombies? It's practically zombies, but
oh, okay.
It's just so atmospheric. It feels so dark and just spooky, and oh my god, the music gets under my skin.
Bailey, it's one of the best zombie movies ever, I think.
Yeah,
it's
see,
like
I only have like maybe a few zombie movies I like, but they're mostly like comedies because I could never really get into it. But
exactly,
I need
I'm
like
the same way.
Scary zombie movies, but
Like Shaun of the Dead.
Right?
Yeah,
like Zombieland. It's like the only one.
Yeah, well, there's a lot actually. Weirdly enough, if you go on Tubi, there's a movie called like Deadheads, and it's a great zombie flick, zombie comedy. There's so many, but I do not like zombie movies myself. Not my subgenre. So yeah, I'd have to go with The Descent as well.
Well, Jakey, you're outnumbered here, and then we're gonna get through these last brackets. Sorry, what?
Oh no, but I said, but I am convinced to watch 28 Days Later now.
Yep.
Please do, and then let us know what you think. So now it's gonna be like kind of some weird combinations here. The Shining or Scream?
Scream.
Again, we're all for Scream.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I know The Shining's probably a better movie as far as like the look and whatever, but like Scream was my movie. It's my jam.
A horror movie right there.
This is a tough one. Nightmare on Elm Street or Halloween?
Halloween.
I guess Halloween.
I think Halloween too. I think Halloween as well. Okay. Hereditary or Get Out?
Hereditary.
Get Out.
I think that one threw me more for like a like.
I guess you're all gonna say Hereditary anyway, I haven't seen it, so I can't say it, but I have to say Get Out. You gotta
watch it.
Yeah, I think you'd like.
You really do. Okay, and then The Descent or Blair Witch Project?
Descent.
Okay. I'm sorry, Jakey. I'm sorry.
She already was like, okay, I'm just gonna type it in.
Okay.
All
Scream or Halloween?
Oh, people are gonna get so mad at us. We're gonna be like,
I know.
I'm gonna have to still go with Scream.
Yeah, I think a Scream is still like
Jakey's mouth just dropped open.
Halloween, absolutely.
Molly,
I have to say Scream, and I'm sorry, Jakey.
Like, I feel like we're screwing Jakey like bad.
I'm sorry,
Jakey. They're gonna be so mad. They're gonna be like, they're gonna understand though.
Okay. So Halloween for me, it's just because it's so stuck in the past with like how we were talking about earlier with like the tropes of horror and how like women are just killed because they're like doing things that are completely normal, where I think Scream is so modern and it's in such a modern setting that we really have the opportunity to like flip shit on its head.
Yeah.
And so I have to say Scream as well.
Yeah.
Hereditary or The Descent?
I'm gonna say The
Hereditary.
Descent.
The Descent.
I'm gonna say The Descent too.
Hereditary? Yo,
Okay,
that's
because
crazy.
I can watch The Descent over and over again, but I have to like have the day off if I'm gonna the next day if I'm gonna watch Hereditary. Like Hereditary makes me want to curl up and like hold a cup with both hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just
Yeah,
like
It's intense.
it's an intense watch. Like I feel like The Descent is an intense watch, but it's like a different type of intensity. That one's kind of like, dang, like, I
psychologically
feel
like
it's like dang, like this feels horrible. But The Descent's more
Yeah.
like claustrophobia, like and
there's so many elements. The Descent is so fucking scary. Like I think
Mhm.
that it's just so scary. So now I mean we're on to the last one here, The Descent or Scream. And we can, I mean, should we set the
hard.
terms of this? Like, are we saying, because Scream obviously has more movies. I want to say The Descent because I think that The Descent is scarier than Scream. So in terms of like an effective scary movie, I think that the
Well,
Descent.
I mean, is that what we're
scary.
going with, or is that just your basis? Because I still say Scream. Like Scream is by far one of my favorite movies of all time. So it's up there with it.
I'm
So
trying to think of because I love Scream because it's so self-aware in itself. And like that makes it the ultimate horror movie because it's so aware of it's just
the
like,
first one, the rest,
first
I
one.
mean,
Yeah, I don't recount the rest of them. I don't care for the rest of them. The first one is like the only one I really care about. But
I like the second one, but I still feel like the second one is just Scream,
yeah,
like part two. Like obviously,
Yeah.
like it's. I
like
mean,
in the sense of like my favorite like scary movie would be Scream, but in the sense of like a horror movie that's like a scary movie would be The Descent for me. So that's kind of where I'm torn between the two. Like if I wanted to watch an actual scary movie, I'm putting on The Descent. But if I wanted to watch a scary movie that I just treasure myself, would be Scream.
okay. So
Jakey.
what are you gonna say? Was Scream or Descent?
The Descent.
Descent. Okay.
I'd go ahead and say Scream.
And then we're all split again.
I think that we can just call that a tie because
I feel like
we
it's
can't.
good points between everybody. Like we all like it makes sense.
Yeah.
For a scary movie, I think you're totally right, Bailey. That like you articulated that so well. That like for a horror movie that is like scary. If I were showing a horror movie to someone who had never watched horror before and they wanted to know like what it was about, I would put on The Descent and I would make them fester in their uncomfortableness.
Yes, exactly.
But if you just want to watch a horror film that you can just enjoy, and just sit back and kind of like comfort horror, whatever.
Okay, then maybe you're right. Maybe I will say I'll come to the
Scream team. You don't have to. I'm not saying that. I like the idea if it's a tie.
But you're right. You're right because it's as far as like an enjoyable movie to watch. If I'm going for like what is the most enjoyable horror movie that also speaks true and well of the genre.
Yeah, Scream would be the movie.
Right.
Yeah,
it is Scream.
All right. So I guess Scream wins.
Scream wins.
Yay. Scream.
I mean, I don't think anybody objects to that anyway.
No.
So Jakey, we kind of screwed you a bunch of times there. Just keep.
It's all good.
Which is funny. I mean, because a lot of times we didn't want. Some of us hadn't seen certain movies or whatever too. Which I guess is going to be a thing if we keep doing this kind of stuff. There's some movies that nobody's ever seen, which is fine. Because not everybody can see all the horror films that are out there.
There are some, like you have to watch Hereditary.
I do. I think I tried watching it, and it wasn't that I didn't like it. It's just like I'm busy with like multiple podcasts, and I can't really watch anything for fun these days. I have to watch them because I'm doing a podcast about it or whatever, I mean, my only fun stuff are TV shows where I can just like half-hour TV shows, Cobra Kai or something like that, I mean, that I can watch, but just because it doesn't take a long time.
Right.
But a movie takes a while,
I'm glad that Scream was our final movie. I think that really, like, I was guessing which one it would be when I set it up, and so I didn't guess that it would have been Scream.
What did you guess?
I did guess that it would have been The Descent, though.
Oh,
I did know that The Descent was going to get up there, because how could it not? The Descent is so scary.
It's terrifying. And my producing partner Sam, that's her favorite movie, like horror film of all time. So
ever, yeah.
So
I
there's a
agree.
lot of people who sort of feel that way. And I've not seen The Descent 2. Is that any good?
That's the first one I saw a long time. I think it was in like 4th grade. My friend's parents put that on, and I was like, "What is this?" It was so scary, but I need to rewatch it. I remember really liking it though, but like I don't remember. But I remember it being pretty good because it kind of continues on, and like so, like they still have things to make the movie about, so it's pretty good still.
Well, I just want to say thank you guys. This has been awesome. This is for our first episode. I think we did a lot, and everything. And so, Molly, thank you so much. I mean, I'm guessing you're gonna want to stick around, like for as far as being my co-host. Enjoyed the show. And you two, we definitely want to have you guys back. I mean, I don't know when, but
We'll figure it out.
Absolutely.
we'll have to have like a tournament. Sometime where like we have like Scream versus all these other like whatever, like what everybody else did.
Give it a couple of years and we can just make a full bracket of movies that we've all made.
Yes.
And we'll figure out which one.
Better. Yeah, that's so funny.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
That'd be
Feral
fun.
Man versus Late Checkout.
Feral Man. Okay, but Feral Man.
Feral Man will win. That's a deep cut the public isn't ready for. You're gonna have to edit all of that out.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been awesome. Do you guys want to plug stuff that you guys have coming up or anything? Or did you kind of already did that, but you guys want to do that again?
I'm good.
I'm just filming in October in Arizona, Wonder Woman. You can find me on Instagram at a horror hippie. Clarify.
Nice. Jakey, how can we find you?
Instagram at Jakey Lutsko, JakeyLutsko.
Nice. Molly, how can we find you?
I'm Molly with the bright red hair, which would make sense if you were watching this visually, but if you're just hearing this, I have bright red hair.
That's how I refer to you all the time when I'm talking to my friends at home. I'll be like, Molly with the red hair.
So
sometimes people meet me in public, they'll be like, "Oh, Molly with the bright red hair." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Right.
in the flesh, in the hair."
The hair.
they can tell who you are,
Exactly.
That's awesome. You guys can check out Frights the Roundtable. I think we're on Instagram. I have not updated that in a little while, so I have to get to that. Unfortunately, I have a lot of podcasts, so I have to go in and change a couple things. But yeah, we'll start promoting this, and this will be up fairly soon. So I'm really excited. Thank you guys so much once again, and everybody tune in next month for a brand new episode. Until then, bye.
Bye.